I'm Pauline Ugalde, and I'm an artisan who works with Blue Forge Press and Blue Forge Films. My open mic presentation for March 2026 will discuss how I learned long-form creative writing. I will discuss my formal education in creative writing, the issues I found with the method I chose, and the final format that I eventually used to write the novella. My formal creative writing education consists of the creative writing specialization that I obtained from Wesleyan University on Coursera in 2024. The plot outline that I obtained from that specialization, I use to this day with major caveats that I'll discuss later. The first 4 courses, talking about the craft of plot, character, setting and description, and style, teach skills related to each of these broad disciplines, and the 5th and final course, the capstone, requires students to write a 15-page short story or portion of a memoir or creative nonfiction essay. At the time when I took the course, I found the skills in it very valuable, but as I began writing thesis, I found several issues with it. First off, the advice provided pertained to creative writing in general, not from a specific genre, and in spite of the fact that the capstone requires writing an extended piece, I didn't find that the instructors advised students on how to scale up their writing to an entire novel, rather than something longer than the capstone piece. In fact, to complete the capstone, I connected together and edited the 4 pieces that I submitted as my final writing assignments for the 4 previous courses in the specialization. Lastly, I found that either the authors discussed examples of the skills they were teaching about in their own writing rather than branching out to other people's work, and in that way I didn't find their examples to be as either widely applicable or well-known, so I couldn't reference them myself. Due to these shortcomings while writing thesis, I used the only long-form writing format that I was familiar with, which was from the YouTube web series called The Kill Count, which covers the plot, behind-the-scenes information, and context behind diverse horror media. And it's hosted by both horror fans and film critics James A. Janice, Chelsea Rebecca, and Zoran Gaboyich. I found the Kill Count to be an unconventional learning experience, which informed how I wrote the book and how I organized everything. I wrote content similar to what I saw in the Kill Count made Janice audibly emote, and what I would want Janice to include in a Kill Count video for thesis if thesis was a film or TV show, which would include accounting for what he would consider the strengths and weaknesses of the plot for thesis and tweaking it accordingly. The research that I would need to perform to make the novella compelling and that he would find interesting enough to include in a Kill Count, and the real-life context for the time period writing thesis and the novella's final release window. Obviously, when discussing the kills, I would ensure that when I was working in references to prior works, that I did so correctly without overshadowing my own work, because someone like Janice would cover them anyway. As for how I implemented these aspects, I essentially made slasher film facing adjustments to the plot outline from Wesleyan University. Not only did the outline contain the plot for each major scene or later on chapter, I included the lead-ups, the descriptions of, and immediate aftermaths of each kill. And to write each chapter, I connected these outlines and flesh them out by formalizing the plot and adding formal dialogue. I found that this was the only way that I could scale up from writing individual scenes to the entire book without either compromising quality or bloating turnaround times.